Hello, and welcome to another segment of Live with San Diego Pride. My name is Alex Forte. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am the Marketing and Communications Manager here at San Diego Pride. But right now, I'm your host. I'm usually the one behind the scenes producing these virtual events, but tonight I thought I'd get out in front of the camera to talk to our next guest. He's from my hometown of Oahu and was most recently elected into the Hawaii House of Representatives, becoming the only openly LGBTQ elected in the state of Hawaii. Everyone, please welcome Hawaii State Representative Adrian Tam.
Hi, Alex. Thank you so much for having me. It's good to be up here and to be with all of you at San Diego Pride. And I'm looking forward to sharing some of my stories and getting to know all of you as well. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. I know you have a busy schedule when you're working on a transition, so I appreciate the time to talk to San Diegans.
Anytime.
Yeah, well, first off, congratulations on a successful campaign. You're a first-time candidate, so how did it feel to win? How does it feel to be called Representative Tam? And what did you and your team do to celebrate?
It still takes some getting used to being called Representative Tam. I used to work at the Hawaii State Capitol, so when people call me Representative Tam, it's my former colleagues, former staffers that I've worked with on a staff level. And, I tell them, we've known each other long before I became a representative, and I told them, you can just call me Adrian. Representative isn't on my birth certificate. In terms of the campaign, our main campaign, the biggest hurdle for our campaign was the primary. We were going up against a 14-year incumbent. And, we were the underdogs because, one, I was very young. Many people didn't think that I could raise the money. We had a pandemic going on, and a lot of things were wasn't going our way at times. But, we stuck through it. We worked hard. We persevered, and we made it. So campaign night, I was a nervous wreck. Everyone was. We had a quiet gathering in our house. But when the first numbers showed and we were in the lead, there was some sigh of relief because then a lot of us knew we won. So we were really happy, and we were very grateful to the people of District 22 for giving us that victory and giving us a chance to lead them.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that people don't realize when they first see like the national news you made is that yes, you beat a Proud Boy, but you also before that, you had to beat an incumbent, a 14-year incumbent. So hats off. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you and I are a lot alike. I actually left the for-profit private sector like you did to better serve my community here in San Diego, and you did the same. So what did that look like for you, and why did you make the shift?
Well, I was in real estate working for my family's small business. But as a realtor, I wasn't making enough. As a new realtor and a young realtor, no one's going to trust me with the biggest decision of their life. So I decided to take a temporary session job for 4 months at the Hawaii State Legislature. And immediately there, I fell in love. I then became a permanent staffer with a full-time job. And after 3 years, I decided to run for office and to get more involved with my community and to help move the state forward. Because, I tell everyone that we need new leadership, new perspectives, because these new problems aren't going to be solved with the same old. It wasn't that hard for me to transition from the private sector to the public sector because in a way, it's almost the same to me. You're working. You're going to do the best that you can, and you just have to adapt. And there wasn't really much of a difference. It wasn't much of a struggle.
But you enjoy the public sector a lot more.
I absolutely do. You can definitely see the difference. Sure, people have asked me, are you not concerned about the salary? I said no, because what makes me happy is helping my community and coming up with ideas to help my state move forward. And that's worth more than dollar signs to me.
Yeah, that's great. And you've said it twice already that you're on the younger end of elected reps, and you're also a person of color. You're of Hong Kong and Taiwanese descent, correct?
Yes, yes.
And you're 28, and so quite often people of color and younger folks are told to wait their turn, and they're not ready yet. So as a young person and a person of color and a first-time candidate, is this something that you personally experienced? And if you have, what advice would you give yourself at the start of your campaign?
I definitely experienced that. And that is something that is in Hawaii. We were often told to wait your turn. And in Hawaii, when an incumbent does retire from office, sometimes 6 people jump into the race to fill that person's spot. And I told myself, that's not right. People should be held accountable. There should be some sort of effort to keep them moving and keep them motivated to work for the district. So when I ran for office, I told myself I wouldn't forgive myself if I didn't run, because I don't think I could afford not to run, because no one was willing to run and challenge the status quo. If I had any advice for any young candidate running for office, it would just be to be yourself. And I say that maybe because no one's going to elect a fraud. Don't pretend to be someone you're not. We elected a fraud 4 years ago, and it didn't turn out the way we wanted to. And as a matter of fact, it hurted us. And in case anyone's wondering what I'm talking about Donald Trump.
Right. Yeah. That's great advice. So your race gained international notoriety. We saw it all over the social media. People were sharing it nonstop, and we're super excited. And it's mainly because of the person that you were up against was basically against all of the values that you are. You're a person of color. You're a child of immigrants. What did that experience feel like?
We didn't know. We really honestly did not know what we were going to expect. But going in, we were often prepared for everything in our campaign. I had a exquisite campaign team that, prepared for the best case scenario to the worst case scenario. And, every single year for as long as I've been around in politics, the Republican Party has often put up some kind of fringe candidate on their ballot. 4 years ago, it was Angela Kaikhui who ran for Congress, and she won the nomination. And her biggest thing was that she didn't have cancer compared to our congressman, who was the late Mark Takai, who did. That was her campaign pitch and her message. 2 years ago, it was Marissa Kearns who ran for lieutenant governor and was the nominee. And her big thing was to stop our biggest infrastructure project and just dump it into the ocean. And they were winning nominations. So, we tried to look at the playbook back then, but this was different. We had someone that, was doing mainland style politics. And for anyone who doesn't know, mainland is what we call the upper 49 states.
It's Alaska.
Alaska.
Yeah. 48.
Yeah. And we thought to ourselves, how do we do it? So we got together and we said, we just cannot give this person a platform, because if we do, that's amplifying his message. So we did whatever we can to not give him any attention, because in a way, that's his job to give him his attention, because that's his campaign. He wants to be a representative too. That's not my job to give him a platform. As my campaign manager said, I'm not going to let him ride my coattails. So it was tough because they kept bombarding us with Twitter messages and attacks. At one point, he was banned on Facebook because of some of the incendiary and insensitive remarks that he was making. So, we just ignored him. And he wanted a debate. We were scheduled to have a debate, but at the last minute, the public broadcasting here in Hawaii decided to cancel the debate. And the reason why they canceled the debate was because they wanted to focus on another race. But we can all assume pretty much that it was because they didn't want to give him a platform either.
Right. And was it challenging, or how did it feel to go up against someone who's anti-LGBTQ and anti-immigrants? Did it shape you, or did you feel like did it change the campaign?
No, we stuck on message. We wanted to talk about parking. We wanted to talk about sidewalks and noise. While the other candidate talked about Antifa, we stuck on message. We didn't want to veer off the message because that was what the voters cared about. I wasn't concerned about my safety. I am fine. But I was more concerned with my supporters and my neighbors who wear my t-shirts, wear my face masks around the district to try to get our name out there. And I told them, if you're going to wear my t-shirts and whatnot, please wear them in broad daylight. There's a lot of foot traffic around you, so try not to wear them at night.
I mean, you basically talked about, how you're a childhood immigrant. I saw that you marched in the Black Lives Matter march over in Hawaii. So in your opinion, why is it important for the LGBTQ community to combat intersectional issues like white supremacy? And what do you think the best way, to actively engage that so that it's a safe thing to do and effective?
That's an interesting question, and I've thought long and hard about how I was going to answer it. And all I can say is, it's the right thing to do. It is basically the right thing to do. Each of us have our own struggles. And when we see others struggling through something, although we may not feel it, it is incumbent upon us to be supportive of them and to fight for them, because I think they would fight for us. They fought for us, actually. So all I can say is it's the right thing to do. It's important because it's the right thing to do.
I agree. It is definitely the right thing to do. How are the Black Lives Matter protests happening, and are they still happening in Hawaii?
I think they happen here and there, but they're all organized around sporadically. So I've been trying to keep up with where they're going to be so I can try to join. But the last time that I joined was one that marched through my district of Ala Moana and Waikiki.
Nice. Well, let's get some fun questions. So both of our cities, San Diego and Honolulu or Oahu, rely heavily on tourism, which is going to be heavily impacted, obviously. So when it's safe and ready to do so, I know that I'm going to go to Oahu and spend a couple weeks just laying on the beach and eating good food and snorkeling. And I know plenty of San Diegans are going to go as well. So what's a fun day in Oahu look like to you? And what are some good spots you enjoy when you're playing tourist in your own city?
Ooh, I don't know. When was the last time I played tourist in my own city? I'd say like a fun day would be, I would wake up, go play tennis at Ala Moana Beach Park. Then I would go have breakfast at Panya Bistro, which is also in my district. Then I would debating on what I want to do during the day. I would possibly either go to Waimanalo and Sherwood's Beach. The sand there is nice. And I would probably go up to Kava and hang out with one of my former staffers and his wife, and we would barbecue. And then I would drive back home and read a book. So that's kind of like the last time I played tourist in Hawaii.
Nice. What's your favorite LGBTQ spot? I know we were talking about a few. Shout out to Hulas. But what is your favorite LGBTQ spot, or a few of them in Oahu?
I think I would just say Hulas. Over there, it's pretty nice. And I always love to support businesses in my district. So I love to go to Hulas. I've been to Bacchus and Papa's before. But you also come to find that I'm very, very boring as a person. I'm very introverted. So I am mostly at home watching Hulu or reading books.
Nice. I'm also an introvert. So it's funny that the both of us are on camera right now. By the way, for people that are watching, if you wanted to submit some questions that Adrian Tam can answer, please feel free to do so. I have one right now. It's from Matthew Merrill, who says, the state of Hawaii must be commended for its remarkable, for its remarkable efforts in keeping devastating cases of COVID from the islands. How has COVID affected your leadership and your responsibilities personally?
Thank you for that question. So COVID-19 has been one of the biggest issues for the state right now. And for us, especially in the House, we have prioritized COVID-19, that we've created its own committee called for pandemic and disaster response. I am also fortunate that I will be the vice chair of Health, Human Services, and Homelessness in the upcoming legislative session. And I will also be sitting on the Finance Committee, which handles all of our appropriations. So, we have a aging population in Hawaii, particularly in my district, which has many senior citizens and retirees, many of whom are at risk and live in dense condominiums. So we were very, very supportive when the governor announced that we were going to implement this 14-day mandatory quarantine for all incoming travelers. Even though even though it was going to decimate our tourism economy, we had decided to prioritize the health and well-being of our citizens here in Hawaii before anything else. On a personal level, for our district, I am happy that our campaign has taken more of a community service approach instead of an in-your-face campaign approach. So we decided to pretty much prioritize our campaign into getting resources out to our neighbors. So we held a face mask drive the day after a face mask mandate was mandated by our current mayor. We have created field meal drives for kids that are not getting school lunches at their schools because the schools were closed. And we've worked with small businesses to get advertisements and work on their marketing strategies so that they can stay afloat during this pandemic. And at the same time, my office is also open so that anyone can reach out with their unemployment questions so that we can try to expedite that process and to get them their insurance as soon as possible.
That's great. What other what other main issues are you looking to tackle in 2021?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, there is tourism is our biggest industry. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So we have two other big industries. It's construction and construction, and military. So those are three. I like to describe our economy as a three-legged bar stool. You take one of those legs away and it no longer becomes a bar stool. So we've now learned that tourism is not sustainable. So in Hawaii, in 2013, we passed a bill that would, or 2015, I forgot. But either way, we passed a bill that would put Hawaii on the path to 100% renewable energy by the year 2045. And because we needed to diversify our economy, that's been one of my talking points and one of the plans that I am working on at the state to try to see what we can do, combining those two. And the plausible, most common sense approach would be to invest in green technology, such as green infrastructure, hydropower, and smart grids, and allow the University of Hawaii to develop them and make that research available for free for any kind of business or any that wants to use it, so long as they meet certain conditions. And those conditions that I'm setting up right now, the two that I will not get rid of, that are non-negotiable for me, would be that they A, operate out of Hawaii, and B, hire a quota of the local workforce here. That way we create jobs, we build an economy that is more sustainable than what we have right now, and we set ourselves on a clear path to clean renewable energy by the year 2045.
Those are great goals. I like that three-legged bar stool. I don't even know if I would sit on a three-legged bar stool.
I
have. We have another question, actually, from our executive director, Fernando Lopez, who is also an introvert, but like you, finds themselves in a leadership role. So what would you say to other introverts out there considering a career in public-facing public service?
Yes.
It's a really good question. I'd love to know your answer.
Like I said, be yourself. People do elect introverts.
You're proof.
Yeah, I am proof. And there are many other introverts in that building with me. But one of the things that I do is before I go on camera or before I go into an important meeting, I will look myself in the mirror or turn on my phone camera that faces me and just talk to myself and say, you can do it. Don't say anything stupid. Don't be nervous. You got this. But at the same time, we need introverts. And introverts, they're more policy oriented, as I've noticed. And, good policy is always welcomed in government, in my opinion. So it's needed. Introverts
get the job done.
Yeah, we get the job done.
I think it's a good healthy mix to have both introverts and extroverts in there. But it's good to hear that there are a lot of elected officials that are introverts and community leaders, really. Let's see, what other questions do I have?
You don't have to be super out there to make a difference. And you can also work for a legislator or intern at your Capitol building. I always say that, sometimes the staff is the brain behind the legislator. So you can work your way up to becoming a chief of staff.
Yeah, and that's also an interesting thing. Sometimes working for an elected or being there kind of seems like a daunting, really hard thing to enter, big barrier to entry. So what's your suggestions for people, LGBTQ people who want to go into public service? What's the best way to start that?
Well, there are many ways to start. Depending on where you are, get involved with your local community boards. If you live in a condo, get involved with your condominium association, or start working at the state capitol. But most importantly, when you run, you need to have a passion. You need to have a passion for an issue that you want to change, that will make the lives of your neighbors better. So And, just that will feel you alone. The other thing I would say is when you're in, just go full out. Don't be shy, don't back down. And, because you have every right to run. Sometimes, like you said earlier, people will say, wait your turn, but no. You have every right to be out there. You have every right to have your name on the ballot. And it is what you want to do with your name on the ballot that is going to be up to you.
That's great. Yeah, and Fernando says on the comments that elected staffers are too often not appreciated for all they do. And we've got some amazing LGBTQ staffers here in San Diego that do so much for the community and help advocate for a lot of things. And so we're always super grateful for them. Big shout out to them. You mentioned earlier that, one of the things that you're looking to make sure to do is support small businesses. And what we've been doing here too is making sure that they're able to stay afloat so that when they get out of this, we can, enjoy our favorite restaurants, enjoy our favorite businesses, shop at our favorite businesses. Outside of your favorite LGBTQ spot, which is Hula's, what other good places do you usually go for, like food-wise, in your district? This is more of a selfish question because when I go there, I always try to find the good food. So I'm going to take copious notes.
Well, I'm biased as well. So, like I said, there's a really nice place called Panya Bistro, and there is another place called Tango. They're right next to each other. Both serve like really good food. There's a nice coffee shop at the Equus Hotel. I love going there. That's where I meet a lot of my constituents at times. There is also Basalt, which is a nice contemporary restaurant in the heart of Waikiki. So those are like some of the few places that I like to go. Outside of the district, you cannot go wrong. You cannot get anything bad at Chinatown here. Yeah,
the food there was so. The last time I was there, I had a couple places. I went to Senya, and I think it's called Pig and Lady. It was so good. Oh my god, really, really good. I highly suggest. But thank you. I'm gonna rewatch this and take notes for when I visit there, and I'll meet you at Hula's.
Okay, I'll hold you to that.
Yeah, it's recorded, so I'm just gonna show it to I'm just gonna remind you. So we have a couple more questions. What are you hopeful for in 2021? Let's start with what are you hopeful for professionally in 2021?
What am I hopeful for? I'm hopeful that, even though we're gonna be in a lot of debt in the upcoming fiscal years to come, I'm hopeful that we start putting up some meaningful legislation and some meaningful resolutions that will start getting the ball rolling for big changes to come. So what I've learned just in a few days as a legislator in these meetings is that, you don't need a bill to really change policy or the way things are done in Hawaii. You just need to tell them to do it. But, it helps. So I've been trying to do everything I can to work with the departments, such as the Department of Human Services, to try to get more services out to our homeless population. Waikiki, my district, there is generally a lot of homeless people, people that are houseless here. And, I want to get them the help they need so they can get off the street and back on their feet.
I have a question that I just got through text because people have been going through your Instagram, and it's from Kevin Lee, I believe. And he asked, because we saw an Instagram picture of you doing another live stream, are you wearing pants?
No, I am actually wearing basketball shorts.
I feel like that's the entire mood of 2020 is, business on top and comfy at the bottom. But, I've seen people wear interesting stuff and it's all great. And check out your Instagram if you want to see that picture. And you've got some great pictures of you working on the beach, which is making me jealous. And I wish I could do that. It's too cold here.
I was going to say, don't we have a beach?
We do have a beach, but it's I've acclimatized to the weather here, and I think it's about 60, which is cold for me. A little warmer. Yeah, so it's not beach weather. So I am not doing work at the beach. So what are you hopeful for personally? Are you gonna take a self-care vacation once you can, or what are you hopeful for in 2021?
In 2021, I think that there is a national conference on state legislators in Chicago in August. So what I was planning on doing was to go to it and then maybe drive to Pittsburgh and visit some of my college friends. I haven't seen them in a while. I called one yesterday and she wanted to do a Zoom party with a bunch of our college friends, and I said, well, that's going to be really hard because 9 o'clock for you is like 4 o'clock for me where I'm still working. But I think that's what I want to do.
Nice.
I want to connect back with some of my friends in college and to catch up and see what everyone's doing.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen some of my friends in almost a year now, and it's crazy to think that a lot of people who live just nearby really, or you usually see them when you travel, that you're not able to see them personally, or even just give them a hug, really. So that's what I'm hopeful for too, is give hugs and hang out with friends and catch up, because it's been such a crazy year.
Yeah.
You're also welcome to make a pit stop in San Diego when you do that. If you come in July during our Pride, we'll throw you a parade. I said, if you come in July during Pride, we'll throw you a parade.
Okay. This is recorded, so
yeah,
remember that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think that's the end of our segment. Let me just double check if you've got any other questions. Let's see. It doesn't look like it. Any last words, messages you'd like to share, encouragement?
Yeah. I really mean it when I say be yourself, because no one's going to elect a fraud, and don't try to pretend to be someone you're not. You'll be surprised that there are a lot of candidates out there who just are not themselves, and they try to pretend to be something they're not. They run and they lose. That's not a winning strategy, in my opinion. And if they do win, they often don't accomplish much, and they're out the door within 2 years.
Yeah.
So if you ever want to run for office, that's the best advice I can ever give anyone, is just to be themselves.
I think that's great advice in general, to be yourself. And I think you're testament to you being yourself and being a success as your full authentic self. It was so refreshing, and I think that's why so many people shared it, not only because of the person that you were up against, but because you were Adrian Tam, a child of immigrants, an LGBTQ person. So it was really, really refreshing to see you win, and very, very excited for what you have in store.
Thank you so much, and it's good to be here with all of you.
Yeah, and a big mahalo to you, and thank you again.
Mahalo.
I'll meet you in Hulas sometime soon.
Okay.
Take care.
Take care. Aloha. Bye-bye.
Aloha.